Hello and welcome back to the Counter Punch podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Kilbride, and I'm delighted to say that I'm joined by the newly crowned WBO European welterweight champion, Darren Tetley. Darren, how you doing?
Good, mate, yeah.
Been a long time.
Been a long time. The last time I was here, I think it was about 6 weeks out. Was it 6 weeks out from the fight? And then since then, it's been hectic and a lot of change.
Yeah. Thanks very much for coming down. Really appreciate it. Obviously, only a couple of days on from your win over Mason Cartwright. You're sporting a black eye as the win sunk in yet?
No, I mean we're on. Obviously, we're recording here on Tuesday.
Yeah.
The fight was Saturday, so yeah, I got a black eye. The swelling's gone down. It's just obviously the bruising's coming out now. But no, it's not sunk in. It's like I'm still waiting to wake up and it be Saturday morning again, and I've got to go.
Yeah.
Go through it all properly. But you know, I'm just enjoying it. I've got the belt at home, and you know, obviously we'll get onto the fight in a bit soon. But yeah, I'm an happy man at the minute.
Before I get into questions, I'm just going to open the floor to you. What are you feeling right now? How is there any? Is it an injury? Is it thought of winning the belt, the fight? What's going through your mind right at this moment?
I don't know. It's. I think for boxers that have, to some people it's obviously not a world title, but for someone coming from a council estate who got told when he started boxing he was never going to be any good, and at 15, 16, who wanted to quit, this is a massive achievement for me. But I just feel like the same person. I'm still Darren. But it's more, obviously we'll get on to my granddad a bit later as well, but now it's sort of time to, to grieve for my granddad really, because through the last 3 weeks I haven't been able to do that. So, I've had to push it to the back of my head and thing. But, I know he'll be looking down and probably laughing at me with them headphones on and stuff like that. So, apart from that, I'm happy and I'm just enjoying the interviews and enjoying the limelight. I'm not used to it, but it's pretty good.
Let's rewind a little bit before we go on to talk about the fight or anything like that. Last time I spoke to you in the studio, we still didn't. Well, I knew the opponent, but I wasn't allowed to obviously release it as of yet. Mason Cartwright at 13-0 with one draw, I think, as well, going into the fight. Yeah. How did you assess him as an opponent? Obviously, prior to the contest.
I just remember we never actually did anything after it got announced, did we? I forgot.
We did that interview over the phone, didn't we? But we never managed to do anything.
I mean, obviously the one draw was a technical draw. I'm guessing it was a cut or something. I don't know the ins and outs. So my guess is he probably would have won that. To be fair, you know what I mean. But yeah, both unbeaten. I knew he was gonna come out and try to take my head off. I said that. People can go look back at the other interviews I've done before the fight. I knew that's what he was going to do. But, very strong. Obviously, this is talking before the fight. Knew he was very strong and game. But I was 100% confident going into the fight. Yeah.
What was, obviously without, I don't know whether this is the right question to ask, but what was the game plan going into this fight, if you can sort of reveal that or not? Obviously, I know you might still, I don't know, you maybe still fight again, but
the game plan, was to use boxing skill. The thing that shocked me was his boxing ability. I didn't think he was going to be as technically sound as he was. So that sort of threw me off early on in the fight, which obviously cost me the early rounds. But regardless of that, the plan was never to start as slow as I did. The plan was to box and use my feet. I used my feet going the wrong way, getting caught with, I was landing shots, but just standing there admiring my work and getting caught with silly shots back. So but my game plan was to get him late on. In my own head, I knew I would get him late on. So when the early rounds wasn't going my way, I was just thinking about, right, I'll get you. I will get you. Like I said before the fight, he won't bully me, and I will push him back. And I did that.
Yeah.
But the moral of the game plan was to just use boxing ability.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And fight week came around. You were at the open workout. You were at the undercard press conference, the weigh-in. Big turnouts for all of those. How did you enjoy all of those events?
Yeah, that was the first time I've ever done anything like that. The open, obviously, the first thing was the open workout. That was the first time me and Mason actually seen each other,
right,
in person. But yeah, I loved it. Something different, something that not many boxers get to do.
Yeah.
And obviously with it being a big fight, I lapped it up and went through the motions on the pads and just enjoyed the occasion and the atmosphere that was there. And then obviously the press conference was sort of the first time we could say stuff face to face. And
I was just gonna say, was it difficult to enjoy the open workout and the press conference and things like that? And obviously, like you said, you've not been part of that before. Was it difficult to enjoy that with the fight coming up, or could you still sort of take it in and enjoy it?
Excuse me. No, because I said all along when the fight got announced in an interview I did with the local newspaper near me. I said all along I was going to enjoy it because boxing's not a long game really. I've been doing this for nearly 15 years, and I'll probably have maybe another 15 years left, hopefully. So it wasn't hard to enjoy it. It just come around quick and went quick, basically. So especially obviously when it come to the weigh-in, and every fighter will probably know once the weigh-in's done, there's no more things to look forward to then.
Yeah.
You've got the fight and that's it. But no, it wasn't hard to enjoy it. And I'd do it all again and enjoy it again the next time it comes round.
And you were mentioning about the press conference as well. Did you enjoy that up at the top table with all the other fighters and the TV cameras and all that sort of thing?
Yeah, it was different for me with me not being much of a talker. But me and Cartwright respected each other all the way through the build-up, and after the fight, we still respect each other, if not more. Or I respect him more, regardless. What Mason thinks. But it's just different stuff, and it's stuff that you can tick off your list, I guess, for what you want to do in boxing. And I just can't wait for what's to come in the future now.
Yeah, we talked a lot about making weight. Obviously, it seems like ages ago now. After the Scott Quigg Oscar Valdez fight.
Yep.
Did everything go all right making weight and that sort of thing?
Yeah, the Friday before the fight, not the weigh-in, the week before.
Right.
Week before the fight, I had a check weigh. I could be 10 or 10-13, I think I were allowed to be.
Right.
I think I was 10-13 and I was 10-13.
Okay.
I think that's what it was. And then the Tuesday before the fight, I had to be 10-10 and I was 10-9.
Okay.
And then I weighed in at 10-5. So everything went spot on. I did the diet correct and stuck to it for the first time since I've ever been boxing. And I was just I was just ready to go.
The day of the fight, what's your routine? Do you have a sort of set routine? Is it just about being chilled and relaxed, or are you sort of focused? What's going through your head when you wake up at 8 o'clock or whatever it is on the Saturday of the night?
The hard work's done in the gym, and the weight's already been made. The day of the fight, I woke up, took my wife for her hair doing.
Right.
Walked to the shop with my little boy. Just a normal day.
Yeah.
I don't really let it get to me. Sat watching. I don't know if anyone who's watching. Have you ever seen the program Plebs?
I have, yeah.
That is hilarious. I just sat watching that the day of the fight, chilling out.
How many hours did you spend watching that?
I think through fight week, I watched three seasons. I watched a lot of them
right.
anyway. So the day of the fight, I was just sat watching Plebs, and on the trucking game I go on the laptop. It was just, you probably could come in my house and wouldn't think I got the biggest fight of my life coming up. But everyone says it. They don't know how I'm so relaxed coming up to fights, but I just enjoy it. And now I've won the belt. Again, we'll be getting onto the fight regardless of anything. If I had to stop now, I've done more than what I ever thought I'd do. So this is why I'm so relaxed, because I never thought I would do what I've done.
Yeah.
So now I just enjoy it, and then I went to my mum's. My mum and my stepdad drove me over to the fight, and I just smile and enjoy it. Watch a few fights and stuff like that. So no one would think I was going into a fight anyway. I don't think the way I am on the fight day.
Yeah. You were fighting obviously at Elland Road. What did you make of, just before the fight, what did you make of the stadium, the atmosphere, the people in there, all that sort of thing?
It was mad. I mean, obviously I'm from Bradford and a Bradford City supporter, but you have sort of got to credit the Leeds fans for turning out for Josh how they do. And I think when it comes to the boxing on shows like that, it's not about Leeds versus Bradford or stuff like that. It's Yorkshire, and all the Yorkshire fighters get behind their own. And I think a lot of the fighters or every fighter on that bill has to thank Josh for what he's done. He's brought it to stadiums over here and made it possible for me to fight 20 minutes down the road. So it was an unbelievable place to fight, massive inside, and but I've got future plans where I want to fight, and one of the questions is that. So we'll leave that till a little bit later on.
Final question, just before we talk about the fight itself. One of the things I saw, I think it might have been Jack Bateson or it might have been Josh Warrington, put something on their Instagram, and it was like a photo of the changing room, and there was like 9 fighters on there, all like I think it was yourself, and there was Josh, Jack, and loads of the other.
Every fighter in the own corner.
Yeah.
Every fighter who was in the blue corner was in the same changing room.
Yeah. Was that? That seems like a lot of fighters to be there.
It was a shock.
I
didn't think it was that. When you box at the arena, you've sort of got 3 fighters per changing room normally.
Yeah.
I didn't think there was going to be all together. Josh was in the same one as us, but he had a separate room to the side where he was sat.
Right.
But when he was warming up next to where we was.
Yeah.
Exactly. You could see him, you could get to him. They just put a little board thing up.
Right.
It was weird, but I think you don't really, when you get there, you're not really bothered about where the changing room is.
Yeah.
As long as you've got somewhere to warm up and get changed, that's the main thing that you worry about, and it was fine.
Let's talk about the fight then. First 3 rounds, I gave them all to Mason Cartwright. I think BT Sport gave the first 4 to Cartwright. It was a really fast start from him, wasn't it? He caught you with plenty of right hands. What did you make of the start? How did you
I wasn't meant to start like that. He started quick again. What threw me off was his boxing ability. He did say leading up he was going to show he could, and I didn't believe it. I just thought, nah, you're not. He did. He judged distance. He seemed to judge distance very well. I had myself down for the first 4, but when he got to 5 and 6, I could feel him slowing down, regardless what anyone wants to say, and I could feel that. And again, leading up to the fight, I knew he would slow down. He'd never been past 6 rounds, so regardless about sparring and stuff like that, I knew he was going to slow down with the work he was putting in, and I just couldn't seem to get out of the way of the right hands. It was heavy-handed, but at no point did I feel like he stunned me or wobbled me or anything. I felt comfortable.
Right.
And like I say, I knew he would slow down.
Yeah. You said you thought you were 4 rounds behind after 4 rounds. Was any part of you panicking at that point, or was it like you said you sort of knew that he was slowing down, or how,
Not so much panic, because I wasn't meant to start like that. It was like you get to a point and you have to make your mind up which way that's going to go, and every fighter may understand what I mean. You either go down the route of survival, do you just give in and think, right, I'm just going to get through the fight,
just get to the final.
or do you bite down on your guns and think, nah, this isn't happening, I'm pulling this back? And that's the road I went down. And I promise you, regardless what anyone wants to say and what stick I'm going to get, there was no doubt in my mind, regardless of how many rounds I was down, that belt wasn't coming back with me.
Yeah. Rounds 4 and 5 I gave to... rounds 4, 5 and 6 I all gave to you. Like you said, you were coming back into the fight at that point. Boxing better on the back foot, was that the key? And you think... One of the things I thought as well, like you said, Mason was just slowing down, wasn't he? I think he was...
Yeah.
You think he sort of punched himself out?
Yeah,
at that
he
point?
knew he wanted to blast me out early, and because he was landing so often, he probably thought he was gonna. But, you know, and when I realised he was slowing down, I could see in his facial expressions, and, you know, you have to remember, I'm as close as anyone in there, and I could see, you know, whether they admit it or not, I could see his demeanour was changing and stuff like that, and I just kept thinking to myself, keep going. I felt fresh. I thought, I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. And I think going into the 8th round, I was 3 points down, 3 rounds. So I needed something special.
Yeah.
And obviously, in the 8th round, I produced it. I said to my trainer after the 7th round, I'm going to go for it. I said, I felt like I could push him back, and I felt the stronger leading down the stretch. And, you know, the 8th round I landed a left hand, a long left hook sort of thing, and put him down, and the fight just totally changed properly from that point on. Yeah.
Just talk to me a little bit about that knockdown, because I was in the stands. It didn't look too clear. I've seen it back, you know, not on like slow motion replays, and it seemed, you know, a little bit innocuous, but his 2 gloves definitely did touch the ground, and it was a proper knockdown.
Yeah, I mean, at the time when it happened, I thought he slipped.
Yeah.
But like I said in an interview with IFL, when he got up and I landed sort of 2 more clean shots on him, and he was backing up, and then that's when I realised, well, 1 minute, if you just slipped, why would you go on the back foot?
Yeah.
As if you're and even the commentator said it. So I knew I caught him, and I knew he was feeling it. The body shots was working and slowing him down even more. But yeah, it was a knockdown. At the time I didn't know, but when I watched it back on Box Nation, after I watched it, and you know, there was no doubt about it, it was a knockdown.
And he caught you as well. I think was it the right hand whilst
round.
He was on the ropes in that 8th round.
Yeah.
It was a fantastic round, and I thought he'd stopped you at that point, because he'd almost.
There was genuinely, like we spoke about, my granddad, there was no stopping me. Once I knew I hurt him, regardless if I didn't knock him down, I was still going to keep going.
Yeah.
The right hand wasn't as bad as it looked, to be fair.
Yeah.
You know, we sort of got in a tangle and tumbled a little bit, but you know, I wasn't hurt or anything like that. I was fine. The adrenaline was just taking over, and there was no way on earth I was going to stop.
Yeah. On to the 9th round, the finish. Obviously, there was a few boos around it. Obviously, you know, it's similar to the 8th round. Obviously, you didn't knock him down, but you know, you were clearly on top. And then Mason suffers that horrific cut on his lip. A fair stoppage in your view? I don't think there's any real complaints about it.
I think everyone said it should have been stopped. It was unfortunate, but you know, as sick and twisted as this is going to sound, once I seen the lip open up, all I was thinking to myself was, keep hitting it. That's all I was thinking, keep hitting it, and I didn't care how bad it got, how much it spread up his face. I was just going to keep hitting it.
Right.
And that's my mentality for it. And because he was already feeling the pace from the rounds before, with that injury as well, in my eyes, it genuinely was only going to go one way.
Yeah. Was there any? I know, obviously, you know, you celebrated, and it's probably something that wasn't running through your mind. Was there any disappointment that there was some boos afterwards? Obviously, people thinking that it shouldn't have been stopped when, you know, obviously looking back on the
only thing that and I'm sort of glad I got the interview and the time to sort of get it off my chest as such, is the thing that's annoying is now on Twitter, people crying for a rematch and saying he deserves it, but and I can see what they mean. He was up, but I mean he was only up on 2 of the judges' scorecards by a round, and the other judge had it level. So he wasn't dominating the fight. The tide was starting to turn, but the thing is, like, if I was 9 rounds up, and he caught me in the 10th round, and it happened to me, would the people who were crying out saying he deserves it and I got lucky, would they be saying that then? No, they wouldn't. They'd be saying he won. You pulled it back and you won. That's all they'd say.
And I think it's worth saying as well, the cut that he sustained to his lip, it wasn't a head clash
or
anything
punch,
like that. It was a punch.
It was a punch, yeah. And also, not everyone's going on about how he was winning. Again, it was 1 round up and the tide were turning, and I believe I was winning the 9th round. So now, if I'd have won the 9th round, like I think I was, then 1 judge would have had me up, and 2 would have had it level. Now, for me, the way the fight were going, he's saying he could have continued to the 10th round and just danced around.
Yeah.
Now, if that's the case, so he'd have lost the 9th round. So let's say the cut didn't stop it. He had the cut, but it didn't stop it. Now, he lost the 9th round, and he was just going to dance around in the 10th round. So I was going to put it on him, and then if he wasn't going to do it in the 10th round, I'd have won the 10th round.
Yeah.
So either way, I'd have won the fight by 2 points on 1 judge's scorecard and 1 point on the other. But it's annoying more, like, they're going on about the cut, and he deserves this, and I got lucky, but not one person has mentioned the knockdown.
Yeah.
Not one person have been like, I dropped him in the round before this, so he was hurt. So, but it's his friends and family or people from his area who's saying it, and I do understand where they're coming from, and, it wasn't an ideal finish, but the fact is, I did cause the cut with a punch.
Yeah.
It wasn't, nothing. It was a punch. And as far as I'm aware, I won the fight, and that's all that matters. And if they want to slag me off and let them.
Yeah.
I don't really care about it.
To be honest, this was I don't know whether it is a relevant point or not. I think it might be. One of the things that I was going to sort of talk to you about, if we could do, a podcast, where we're just usually just talking about boxing and things, the sort of like the trend of whenever a big fight happens, someone loses, someone wins. The theme always seems to be to like blame the loser. Yeah. So like when Joshua beats Parker, it's Parker was rubbish. When Linares lost to Lomachenko, Linares quit. I'm sure I can think of other examples, but you know what I mean. It's sort of that theme of, like when Callum Johnson beat Buglioni, Buglioni's rubbish. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
The fact is, it's boxing, and someone said it right to me. The fight was 10 rounds, not 9, not 8, not 7. Regardless whether he was up 8 rounds, 10 rounds, 9 rounds, sorry, the fight was not over. And that's it. That's the bottom line to it. The bottom line is I won the fight. I mean, do you want to go on to what's next, the rematch? Do you want to get into that now, or do you want to wait? Or
yeah, go for it.
What's next? Like, we've got the sheets here for people that can't see. Yeah. What's next? Mason Cartwright rematch. I'll say it like this. I took the first fight, as in we both of us accepted the fight. So I wasn't scared then. Because it seems to be, because people think, because he was winning, again, by a round, on 2 judges' scorecards, it's like do people suddenly think I don't want it? It's not about not wanting it, it's the fact. People look at it from my point of view. I came from behind. I was 4 rounds down after the first 4 rounds. That leaves me needing the next 6 rounds to win on points with no knockdowns. I didn't give up. I bit down and got through that and fought back to get a knockdown and to win the fight. So, I've got a family. I've got, I could sit there and bring up my granddad's funeral the day before and say that it didn't affect me. I put it to the back of my head, but if I wanted to, I could. But the fact is, I bit down and I pulled out a win. So if a bigger fight comes up and I get offered more money, why shouldn't I take that? What I've got a wife and kids to think about. So You know, why should I? If I get offered more money or for another for the British title, why should I not take that? If I don't, and I get more money for the rematch, and it makes sense, and yeah, I'll fight him again. But I spoke to his manager as well while we're on this. I spoke to his manager straight after the fight, backstage.
Right.
And his manager's word to me, and I hope people listen to the pod, to this interview. His manager words was, "I apologise. I did go to find Mason after the fight,
right,
but he got rushed to the hospital." And I told his manager, "Look, sorry about the ending, because it wasn't satisfactory, was it, for people watching because of the cut? But you know." And he's like, "Look, it happens. That's it. You won the fight." His words was, he's gonna get Mason healed up, get Mason a win. Told me to defend the belt. He said, and he will get Mason into a position to where the fight can happen again.
Right.
That's his manager, not me, not my manager. So that tells you his manager never said we want it straight away. You know, my manager said, "Look, we've won. Bigger things could come off of this now." So, you know, I'm all about enjoying time off now at the minute, and then just seeing what fight offers come back. If no fight offer comes back and Mason fight offer comes back, then yeah, I'll do it. You know, if a fight for the British comes, obviously I'm gonna take it.
Yeah.
You know, for me now it's about defending the title or getting more titles and getting paid. For me now, if I get offered so much for one fight but get offered more for Cartwright, I'll take it. You know, if I get offered Cartwright for the British, I'll take it. You know, so for now it's about moving on and seeing how far I can go in this game. You know, the thing is that I'm, regardless of the, I don't know, the circumstances, that I won. So I'm the champion now. So I'm going to see what's next, and I do think a rematch will happen.
Right.
But I don't know when. I don't know when. I don't even know when I'm fighting again.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't even know if I'm going to fight in a 6 or 8 rounder before another big fight, or, you know, the season's over now a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be ready for the Fury card.
No.
In June, so it'll be July.
That's only a week away, isn't it?
So it'll be July. I'll probably fight again. I've heard there's a show in Bradford.
Right.
So maybe I get a 6 or 8 rounder just to tick over. And then maybe a big fight in September, whether it be Mason or someone else in I mean, I'm ranked 7 in Britain now, I think.
Yeah,
on BoxRec.
I'm just on BoxRec rankings now,
and I think I'm in the top 15 with the WBO now.
Right.
So, you know, I'm just going to see what comes and see what happens. But, you know, I'm not scared to fight anyone.
Yeah.
I'll fight who makes sense.
And I know you mentioned about, obviously, you know, whatever makes financial sense. Obviously, he said if more money comes up for the British, that's obviously, you know, very understandable. Does part of you sort of want to rematch Mason just to sort of
shut everyone up?
Yeah, partly, yeah.
Of course it does. Yeah, at the end of the day, I'm a fighter. If it was up to me, I'd fight Mason tomorrow again. But this is why boxers have managers, because the managers know how boxing works. You know, otherwise, I'd have to fight Errol Spence.
Yeah.
You know, for money. Do you know what I mean? But I don't listen. I make no secrets. I do not understand business stuff. That's not me.
Right.
I just fight. So, of course, over half my body wants to get the rematch again to correct it and to show, look, I'm still the better fighter. You know, maybe inactivity played a big part of the slow start. I don't know what made the slow start, but there was no doubt in my mind I was going to win. And again, if it was up to me, I'd fight him tomorrow. But I have a manager, and he does what's best. He does what's best for me, not what I want. If that makes sense.
No, yeah, I get you.
He does what's best for my boxing. I'm not in this sport to please everyone else.
Yeah.
I'm in it to get in, get what I can out of it, win what I can, and get out still being able with all my faculties intact. And that's still the same now.
Yeah. I'm just on the British welterweight list now. Obviously, as you said, you were ranked 7th. I know Frankie Gavin and Josh Kelly were mentioned to you by IFL after the fight. Do you feel that they are maybe sort of too soon, or are they sort of not far ahead? Or
Josh Kelly's had less fights. Obviously, the amateur pedigree, and everyone's raving about him. And he is, I know him from the amateurs. He is a nice lad. But he's fighting for the Commonwealth, and he's with Eddie Hearn, so two totally different. Well, we was on about this before, weren't we? The two opposite promoters.
Yeah. So
I can't see that being next. Frankie Gavin's not with anyone, but Frankie Gavin wants Josh Kelly. But anyone who can get me, I'll fight for the British against any of them.
Yeah.
Whoever, anyone in the welterweight division, I'll fight for the British against. There's Johnny Garton. There's a few top names.
Shall I read? I'll read you the list of what BoxRec have got as their sort of. Shall I do the top 10?
So is this number one?
Yeah. So they've got Frankie Gavin as the number 1, Kelly as number 2, Bradley Skeet as number 3, I think he's still got the title.
Yeah.
Johnny Garton.
Yeah.
4. Gary Corcoran 5. Paddy Gallagher 6. Yourself 7th. Michael McKinson. I'm not too familiar with him.
No.
He's 8th. Johnny Coyle is 9th.
Johnny Coyle's a good fighter.
And Conor Benn is 10th.
Yeah. So I mean, the way BoxRec does it, it's all points. I don't understand how they work it, but
neither do I.
So Frankie Gavin, I don't know what he's doing there. I don't know. I genuinely don't know what's going on with Frankie Gavin at the minute. There was talks about the Josh Kelly fight. Obviously, so that's number 1. I don't know what he's doing. Josh Kelly's fighting for the Commonwealth, so that's Josh Kelly out. Number 3 is Bradley Skeet. He's just come off the European. He's still European to world level in my eyes. I don't know if he's going to vacate the British or I have no idea.
No.
Number 4, who's number 4?
Johnny Garton.
Johnny Garton.
I believe is he the...
He's the English champion. He was. I don't know if he's vacated it, actually.
He won the IBF European, so you might want
to
do a unification with your WBO and IBF European.
So Johnny Garton, that fight, we've mentioned that fight before. Not going to go into anything, but it didn't happen.
Right.
Number 5.
Gary Corcoran.
Gary Corcoran's fighting number 6. Paddy Gallagher.
Yes.
In Belfast. Yeah. So them two's out.
Yeah.
So that's 5 and 6. 7 myself. 8. Johnny Coyle is fighting.
He has got a fight.
He has got a fight coming up.
Lewis Benson
from Scotland. A very good amateur. So that's them two. That's him out of it. Number 9 is I don't know. I don't know.
8 was Michael McKinson.
I don't know who that is, to be fair.
I don't really either. And then 10 was Conor Benn, but
Conor Benn's with Eddie, and that's not going to happen. Yeah. So at the minute, a lot of them are tied up. I'm not going to call any of them out, but I just think, regardless how the fight started, I still shown there's still another welterweight to get chucked in. Whether people think I'm rubbish after that, I don't really care.
Yeah.
But I'm still there now. I'm up there, and I'm just gonna see what comes of it, and see what fights get offered.
You mentioned a show in Bradford. Is that in July?
That's in July.
Is that still? Has that been confirmed?
No. Again, I've just heard.
Okay.
About
so
that.
Right.
I'm not on it. I'm not penciled in on it.
No.
It's more just because normally the big shows now won't be till September.
Yeah.
And I don't want to wait till then. So if I've got to get a little 6 or 8 rounder in, just to keep me warm, and then ready for maybe a big fight in September, October.
Yeah.
Who knows? But we're only 3 days on or something from the fight, so it's all new. It's all, no one knows really what's going on, and this is why now I'm just gonna wait and see what offers come back. And see what makes the most sense.
One of the things that we didn't mention as well, plenty of support for you out at Elland Road. Thankful for everyone that's bought tickets from you. And how did your ticket sales go? Is that all right?
It was hard to get. I normally get round everyone who get tickets, because in the arena you know where they're all sat. You can see the blocks. It says the blocks on the railings. There it didn't. So I didn't see anyone. So massive thanks to every single one of them who came. I think I done over 270 tickets. I think I done. So it was a crazy turnout. And I was just glad to come away with a win for them and for myself and my family as well.
You mentioned it briefly about your granddad, Ernie, who was sadly passed away. Was it a few weeks ago now?
I think it was 2-3 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Obviously, I know you had it on your shorts, didn't you?
Yeah.
Just talk to me a little bit about him.
Yeah. So again, I said before it wouldn't affect the thing, and I'd say after, regardless of the result, it didn't affect training. I know I missed one training session when the day it happened.
Right.
But I had to push it to the back of my head and not think about it. But it was hard, it was hard to push it to the back of my head. And then obviously the funeral being the day before the fight, an hour before the weigh-in.
Right.
So the funeral finished at 12:15. The weigh-in was 1:00.
Yeah.
So it obviously was hard to. The hard bit was pushing it to the back of my head, but I did it. So now it's about grieving for him, and I went to the pub at the day of the fight, where all my family and stuff was at the pub where my granddad used to go and where all my family goes. So I could take the belt there. There was a lot of tears, a lot of emotion. But like I said, and I said on Twitter, I can look up now and say we did it. And that was the most important thing for me. Regardless how I did it, and no one now from now ever can take that away from me. And I said if I lost that fight and box for it again or box for another title in September and won, it just wouldn't have been the same as it was then. Obviously with the funeral being, I had to go to his funeral in a tracksuit to be able to get to the weigh-in. So the most important thing for me was I did it for him, and and everyone's going on about rematches and what's next and my next fight, and I'm still grieving. No one knows because I don't speak about it, but I'm still in that grieving process. My family's been able to do it; they've had 3 weeks to do it, and obviously the funeral, I haven't. So for people mentioning what's next and rematch, and I'm not interested in fighting at the minute.
Yeah.
I just want to grieve. It was the first fight he hasn't been to since I've been pro. So and I was close to him, really close to him. So for me now, I'm not even thinking about fighting or thinking who's next, what's next. I'm not bothered.
Yeah.
At the minute, I'm just gonna grieve for him and then see what comes next.
Was he someone that played a part in your boxing career, or in terms of getting you to training and things like that, or? No. He always brought a lot of people with him. Right.
He was a member at a club, and he used to buy me a membership. I never really went, apart from to drop tickets off because I don't drink much. But he was the one who'd message me, do it for him, and spur me on in that sense. And say how proud he was of me. And it was just weird after the fight not being able to take in the belt, and I'm trying not to cry now. And sort of be like, look, we did it. But he'll be looking down and we did it, and that's the main thing for me.
Yeah. Just going to move on to a few questions, Darren. I know we've probably answered one already. John Smith has asked, got to be a return on the way things panned out. I know we've talked plenty about that. I think you've said
how
on
the
that.
fight panned out. The fight panned out. I started slow but brought it back and caused a knockdown, and sadly the cut stopped it. But we've spoke about the rematch, and we know,
we've covered that, haven't we?
If it gets offered and I get paid more than I did, or there's another title or eliminated, then the fight will happen again. If I get offered something bigger, that's literally the best way to cut it down. If I get offered a bigger fight for a title or more money, then I'll take that. If I don't, then we'll have the rematch.
Well said. Ian Hemmings has asked, do you fancy fighting at Valley Parade now? I don't think it's against him.
This is I've seen it. It's funny because when you put the tweet out asking questions, half of me wanted to answer everyone. Then I was like, nah, I'll leave it. Yeah, and if you're free, mate, we can plan a date in and get training if you want, and we can fight. But yeah, definitely that'd be to top everything off, wouldn't it? To be able to fight there, whether it'd be a massive sellout stadium show or shut half the stadium down, just to fight on the pitch would be massive. So yeah, 100% I fancy it, and I actually speak to people who's involved with Bradford City, the CEO and stuff, and maybe we can sort something out and get something done.
And you were there, weren't you? You've been there a few times.
I've been there,
yeah.
I've been there a few times before the fight. Yeah,
Good
I've been
support
there.
from the guys down there.
Massive support. Even to one of the players congratulating me as well. It's mad. But yeah, they invited me down and give me a meal when I was dieting, which I had to have a cheat day. I had a cheat day weeks out, 1 day a week, so I had it that day and had a pie. But yeah, that's the dream, and I believe we will get there eventually.
Fingers crossed. Finally, my brother Finn has asked, how was training as a youngster, and at what stage did you realise you could go on to win a belt? P.S. Great fight, congrats on the win. You mentioned this a little bit briefly, didn't you? You're saying that you never thought it would happen, and people wrote you off as a youngster. Just talk a little bit about the start of your career. And that
yeah, when I started at 10-year-old, people thought I'd quit after 3 weeks. My first 10 amateur fights, I won 5 of them. My first 5 amateur fights, I won 2 of them. So it was a bad start for me. But the older I got, the better I got, and I won a Yorkshire belt as an amateur, and that was massive for me. That literally felt like this now. But when did I realise I could win a belt? The belt I've just won. Probably when the fight was made.
Right.
When I got the offer to fight for that belt, I was fully confident I was winning. I was going to win that belt. But I never thought I'd get to this point, which is people listening and in any sport, if you just because you don't think you can get there, if you put 100% in, you will get somewhere. And the thing is, you don't want to have regrets. So you put in everything you can, and if you don't get anywhere, you can sit there and say, you know what, I could not have done any more. So probably when the fight got made, that's when I realised I can win a belt. Yeah. To be fair.
And my brother Finn, he does a bit of boxing training down at Bermondshoffs at the minute. What advice would you give to him and anyone doing, boxing training as a youngster in their teens at the moment?
I think stick at it. It is an hard game, and the rewards come slower than what a lot of people want them to. But if you stick at it, and there'll be times where it gets hard and you don't want to do it. But if you've got the drive and determination to do it, just trust me. Just stick at it. Keep going. Go through the horrible times, so to speak, and you will reap your rewards. And you will sit there one day and be like, you know what? Yeah, I've done all right here. But yeah, never give up. That's probably the best advice I can give.
Sound advice indeed. I can't get my words out. The WBO European welterweight title is the one that you've won. Yep. That puts you in the top 15 of the WBO, doesn't it?
Yeah, top 15. Yeah.
Does that mean an awful lot to you at this stage in your career, or is it you're still
it
on that domestic
good,
scene?
It?
Yeah, it does.
Sounds
it
good.
Does.
When you look at the WBO champion, if it was Jeff Horn, we spoke about this weeks ago. Yeah. I'd take the fight. But then when you look at the other half, Terence Crawford, then you realise how far away you are. Because there's no way Jeff Horn's going to beat him. No. No way on earth.
No.
But it's more, rather than the ranking and the world title fight, it's more, it gets your name out there. And that's, for me, that was the big thing for this fight, just getting my name out. And I managed to do that.
Yeah. Finally, Darren, just wanted to do one thing. Obviously, we haven't done a podcast in about 5 or 6 weeks.
Yep.
So, just off the top of my head, I've not written any of this down. I'm just going to list you a few things that have happened in that time.
Yep.
And I just want quick fire answers,
Right.
So for example, Anthony Joshua Joseph Parker, your take on that very quickly, and then I'll do it on about 5 or 6 different subjects, and then we'll call it a day.
I think Joshua Joseph Parker. Let me think about the fight. Wasn't the fireworks we expected. I did think Parker could beat him. It was. I think it may have done Parker better than it did Joshua, because Joshua got a bit of stick after. But when you look at it as Joshua Wilder or Parker Wilder, Joshua Wilder's the lot bigger fight. But I think now Joshua needs to fight Wilder or Fury.
That was going to be
that's what I think.
Joshua Wilder, what did you make of the whole negotiations? We've seen the 50 million offer. We've seen Eddie Hearn talk about proof of funds and this, that, and the other Instagram videos. What have you made of the whole
boxing? Is getting to be like a pantomime now. It's like a joke. Like, what is hard with 2 managers ringing this much? I mean, obviously it is more than that, but this much not send proof of funds. How are you going to send proof of funds? I mean, I could write for £50 million on this piece of paper and say, there you go. What do I want to do? Send him a picture of a briefcase with £50 million. I don't understand it. And now I've heard Joshua saying it's only going to happen if it's in the UK. If Joshua goes down that route, he's going to get some stick. Only in the why only in the UK? What? Go where the most money is. That's what I'd do. Yep. If Joshua can get 50 million to go to America, or 40 million to do it over here, go to America. He doesn't want screwing over by the judges. Judges can screw you over wherever you fight. Yeah. It doesn't matter. They didn't screw Fury over in Germany. So I think the fight needs to happen. It won't happen this year, I don't think.
Right.
There's too much messing about. I just don't think it's going to happen this year.
Do you expect it to happen at all?
I'd be shocked, to be fair. No, I think it will happen. It's just I hope it's not a Mayweather-Pacquiao situation where it just takes years.
Right.
And then the fight doesn't live up to it.
Yeah.
If it does happen, I'm still picking Wilder.
Okay. Tyson Fury, he's back. He's got an opponent named Seferi. I don't know if you've seen
I've never heard of it.
23-0 Albanian cruiserweight.
Is he unbeaten?
No,
he's lost one, hasn't he? He lost to Manuel Chad, didn't he?
He did, yeah, over 10 rounds. Good to see Tyson Fury back.
Yeah, it's just now, let's see how he returns. We knew the name wasn't going to be a big name. So, we knew that. He's been out for 2-3 years. See what he looks like, see what he comes back, and is he going to get to Wilder or Joshua first before Joshua gets to Wilder, sort of thing. That's the fights I want to see, them 3. I'm not really bothered what order. But yeah, it's good to see him back.
Tony Bellew versus David Hay rematch. Bellew won in 5 rounds, I believe. What did you make of it?
I think I called it. I did call that. I knew we'd get to him. But then he called Andre Ward out, and he's leaving retired. He doesn't want to come back. But it's more what next for him. Who his manager wants him, and his trainer, want him to call it a day. Yeah. I just can't. He's not. I like Bellew, I genuinely do. Is he big enough to be fighting Joshua and Fury? No. I don't think he is. No. And Wilder, the people. If you're in the weight division, you want to get to the world title. Yeah. The way is Wilder and Joshua. I think they're the only ones with the belts. Yeah. So that's when you've got to look at it that way. And Fury just under. I don't think he is. Cruiserweight, would he beat Usyk and Gassiev? I'm not sure. I'm not sure he does. No. I'd probably just call it a day. Yeah. It's easier said than done. There's been a fighter myself, but he's proved everything. He always says no night will top Goodison Park. So if that's the case, you beat A twice. Quit while you're ahead. Because if he gets beat, the Goodison Park may not seem as good for him. So yeah, I'd just get out while he can.
Linares Lomachenko, fantastic fight, wasn't it?
Unbelievable. Yeah, I watched that the day before. The day of my fight, I watched that actually. No, the day of it, I watched that. The day of my fight.
Oh right, okay.
When I went to my mum's, didn't copy out like what Lomachenko. I think I done one little move that he did, half a move, half a sidestep or whatever it was. he went down, got up fine, and I don't know who beats him. I do not know who I genuinely don't know who beats him. I don't even think Mikey Garcia beats him, to be honest with you. But that shown there, two rival promoters putting the fight on, and what a fight it was. And Loma may be one of the best ever, I think.
Yeah. What do you think of Eddie Hearn's deal with DAZN? Have you seen much of this out in America?
I've heard, but to be honest with you, again, like I said before, I'm not good on business. I'm going to swear, so if you got kids, cover your ears. I ain't got a fucking clue what it is.
Right.
I don't understand it. I don't know what's going on. I just know it's $1 billion deal where you can put fights on in America. That's literally all I know.
Yep.
Everyone's saying it's good for boxing, so I genuinely don't know about it. I think it's just basically you can put more shows on in America. I think that's the bottom line of it, isn't it?
I don't know whether we've got time for me to try and explain it, but I think it's sort of like it's like a Netflix, basically.
Right.
So you sort of watch it
on a channel, sort of.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not like a TV. I don't think it's a TV channel, but it's sort of like a streaming service. And apparently it's over in America, and we can get it on Sky Sports as well. All their shows are on Sky, and they're going to try and buy other sports as well.
Right.
So yeah. Last one, Tom Young in The Ultimate Boxer. Got to the final. Unfortunately, didn't quite go all the way.
Yeah, just a lack of experience.
Your sparring partner, we should say.
Yeah, I was sparring Tom for my fight. Chinned McLeod, absolutely obliterated him. No one gave him a chance, and just lack of boxing experience. Lost him in the final, but I did. I genuinely believed he was going to get there, and I thought he was going to win, but no one else did. Done him more good than the loss as well. What a man, and what a great friend of mine he is, and I was jumping up and down at the telly, and he messaged me after my fight saying he was doing the same. We're very close, very good friends, lovely fella, lovely family, and he'll be back, he'll learn. He's already said he's learnt loads, he's back in the gym now, I've heard, and I just can't wait to see what's next for him before even myself, because I think he's opened a lot of people's eyes there. I wouldn't mind seeing him versus Mason Cartwright. Similar styles, what a fight that would be. But obviously that fight's not going to happen.
Right.
I'm not going to, go down that route. It's just a joke before everyone wants to jump on and try give me a load of grief because saying I'm scared of Mason and stuff. But no, he done well. He got further than anyone thought, and Drew Brown, I think, as well. Technically very good.
Yeah, the winner of the tournament.
Maybe me and Drew Brown may happen one day. Who knows?
Loads of matches here, Darren. Calling everyone out.
Who knows? Yeah, just gonna call everyone out. But yeah, again, Tom. We'll have to get him on. We did mention it. And we will get him. We will get him one day. He's already agreed to it. So
we'll just have to sort a venue and a purse as well. Darren, thanks very much. Anything you want to add before we go? Any sponsors you want to give a shout out to?
Definitely. I just, I haven't got too many, but the ones that have helped me, I couldn't, do it without you. Help me out. Fantastic Sunbed Shop, Wibsey, Diamonds, the barbers who cuts my hair for me, Blue Hills Farm Shop who gives me all my meat and my diet food basically. Who else is Direct Building Products who helped me out, just bought me a new sparring kit that's just turned up, so it come be after the fight rather than before. But DB Bulldogs, that's my cousin. Massive thanks to you all, and we've got a good future, and we're gonna see how it goes.
Fingers crossed. Good luck in the future, Darren. Hopefully we'll catch up with you again very soon.
100%.
And thanks very much for your time.
Thank you.